Chris, thank you very much for your time. Great to speak with you. It's been a while since we caught up. Bring us up to speed. What's the latest in your world at the moment? How are things?
Yeah, all good. Been a crazy couple of weeks or week or so. A lot's happened, a lot's changed, but all good. Obviously, got a fight date now. April 26th on a huge card in a big fight and a tough opponent. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Mm.
Obviously, been watching the cherries flying high, which has been extremely enjoyable. Unfortunately, yesterday I wasn't able to go to the game. I was funny enough, in Nottingham, watching my gym mate Ellie box and defend her numerous world titles. So that was a good night. But yeah, watching the highlights was extremely enjoyable, and I was walking around Nottingham in my Bournemouth scarf. So yeah, it was a good day.
Can you get your head around just how good they are at the moment? Because, I mean, everyone was looking into yesterday's game as it could be a really tight one, two teams that are right up the top of the Premier League table, overachieving this season. And then for Bournemouth to win 5-0 in the middle of an injury crisis and play the way they have, can you get your head around it?
No, I can't really. It's you know, to score 9 goals in the last two games without a striker, which is no dig at Dango, especially after his hat trick. But yeah, is sort of unheard of in the league, and we've kind of got 11, you know, fully fledged first team players available at the moment, which is crazy. There's other teams out there which have got, injury crises as well, and they're down the bottom half of the table, but Andoni and the boys are just putting in an absolute shift, and it's amazing to be to be witnessing it, and I can't get my head around it. It seems you're kind of waiting and one worrying about sort of the yesterday's fixture and next week's, like thinking, oh, if we can get two points in those two games, we'll take that. And then we've gone and won one of them 5-0, and now it's like, okay, well, on to the league leaders, and let's see what we can do. And we've got massive belief there, which is, yeah, it's an amazing thing to be able to witness.
And just final one on the Cherries. Do you think they can get into Europe this season? I mean, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, I think it's a dream for many fans. I'm not sure the club the will obviously they'll want it, but it's a tough one, isn't it? Because of the amount of games you got to play. I mean, you imagine us now with 11 players and also having Europe to deal with. It would have been it'd be an absolute nightmare. But yeah, I mean, as a fan, we us what we want. We've joked about it over the years. On Twitter and stuff with a few fans and in person with a few. And it's been a little very small glimmer. And thought, well, one day we'll get there, and it could quite possibly be this season. But look, I think even if we come top half the table, we still got to look at it as a success this season, because losing Dom in the summer, everyone was like, oh, we might struggle here, but the lads have really pulled through. Been some absolutely standout performers, and not just in all over the pitch this year. Dino's come in, been phenomenal. Lewis Cook's been absolutely phenomenal and can play anywhere apparently. Ryan Christie, Clive, everyone's just really stepped up, and yeah, it's just such a exciting time to be a Bournemouth fan.
Mm. Um, let's talk boxing. You've had a while since that fight out in Saudi Arabia when, you lost to Gilberto Ramirez. It was how's it been for you kind of reflecting on that? You've had time, a lot of time to now reflect on it, to move on from it. Are you well and truly kind of over the hill on that one? Where's your mind at as far as the period of time you've had in between to kind of look back on that?
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to be fully over a loss. There's always going to be that thing there, and I think yeah, for me that was that's how it is. I'm over it in the sense of, look, I can't do anything about it now. All I can do is look forward, take the learnings, take the lessons, keep building, and that's what I'm doing, and try and strive for get myself in a position where I might be able to get a rematch, and that would be the dream for me to get a rematch and put it right, like I did with Richard Riakporhe. So yeah, it still hurts. I watched it back again the other day. It obviously still hurts, and watching it back in a completely haven't watched it back for a while. So to watch it back fresh, like almost from a feels like from a clean slate, in a new sort of mindset, then it's been a bit it was like hard to watch in a way because I was like I could do so much better, and but what's done is done, and I've got to just look forward now and progress, and obviously got a hard fight coming up.
Mm. Do you have any regrets in terms of the way you approached the fight? Were there any kind of things in your mind that you think, oh, I wish I'd done that differently? Or
Um, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, yeah, of course, but you can't live like that. You can't hindsight. There's always going to be stuff you wish you could done better, whether you win or lose. I think, and that's the beauty of hindsight. But look, I approached the fight in the way I did, and yeah, I think it's just about rather than trying to wish on what could have been is now just look forward and try and have a foresight and try and get that ability and all the lessons, take all those and learn from it, improve, and put it all into the next one.
And looking forward is quite an exciting opportunity. I've got to say, it took us all by surprise, I think, to see this next fight announcement. So, I don't think it was one we were expecting to see so soon and so out of the blue. How much notice did you have about the fact that you'd be fighting Brandon Glanton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Did this also kind of come as a bit of a shock to you, or did you know it was in the works for a while?
No, we were hoping to either to get on that show, but we were also hoping to try and fight Badou Jack for the WBC title. But the the way it works, and those big shows is a huge show, it's a huge opportunity, and it came round kind of like I said, we were like, oh, we might be able to get on that show, but there was no real discussion. And then on the Wednesday evening, I had a phone call and we got offered the fight. And we didn't really have a chance to chat much about it that night. But then the Thursday, I sort of woke up and had messages from my team like we need a decision as soon as possible, and we were like, okay. And then yeah, that it all happened. So it's probably within 24 hours of getting offered the fight to it being announced, which is very rare in this sport. But yeah, that's the way it's done. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. It's a huge opportunity for me. Brandon Glanton's a very good fighter. He's got two losses on his record, but both of them, people can dispute. So it's exciting. He's an aggressive, come forward fighter, and yeah, it's a good chance and opportunity for me to look good on a huge stage.
Absolutely. And in terms of Brandon Glanton, looking through his record, one of those losses you kind of alluded to was David Light, who Lawrence Okoli beat. Is that something that you've looked at all? Of course, you beat Lawrence then as well. Do you think that, you're going to be above the levels in terms of this guy? Because I mean, David Light, wasn't the level to beat Lawrence, and then you beat Lawrence, and you've gone on to, achieve further things in the sport. Do you believe this is a really good and comfortable comeback fight for you? I mean, I guess comfortable isn't the word, but do you believe that this is one you can be confident going into?
I'll be confident going into it for sure, but I can't. This is boxing. It's not I beat Lawrence, Lawrence beat David Light, and David Light beat him. That's not how it works. Um, and yeah, he dropped David Light late on in that fight, I think, and then yeah, and obviously it was a majority decision, I believe. So it was close, and you never know how those things can look if when you watch them back in their entirety. So yeah, it's a new fighter. He's gonna I'm, the biggest name he's boxed, so he's going to be training extra hard for it, and it's a huge opportunity for him on a huge stage. So he's going to be coming. It'll be a new version of Brandon Glanton, and I think that's what I've just got to be prepared for. Um, and I think it'll be a new invigorated version of me as well. And I'm really excited for the opportunity to be back out. I was excited to fight again anyway after the last fight and make some adjustments. But but the fact it is who it is I think a real big opportunity for me. But yeah, it's I've got to be fully focused, and he might have two losses on his record, but if people just look at that and don't watch him and watch the fights he's been in, he's a very, very good fighter. So it's a huge risk.
Mm. And I mean, his last three fights, he's all won by knockout or technical knockout. Is I guess that's something you've also got to be wary of. That, I mean, as with any fight, he's going to be coming to take your head off.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's got 20 wins, 17 knockouts. That's a great knockout ratio. He's obviously also dropped David Light in that fight and hurt him, so he obviously carries power. And that's yeah, that's the way I've got to approach it, is be clever. And yeah, we'll see we'll see who hits hardest on the night.
We'll look forward to it. You said we'll see a new kind of reinvigorated version, fresh version of CBS. What can we expect to see? What do you think will be different about how you step in between those ropes?
I think it'll just be additions to what I do. I think you still see the same tenacity. I think all the things you normally see, but just a bit more refined. And I think that's going to be the key on fight night. Is I've got to be smart and be clever, but I can't just turn into an out and out boxer and just start flicking the jab and I'm jabbing and running and that type of thing. That's not me. But um, yeah. So and also against a fighter like that, you can't just do that because they'll get to you over 12 rounds because he's just going to come forward. So yeah, it's a very much just about improving, refining, tidying things up, and yeah, I think the last fight kind of taught me that.
Mm. You're you're ticking off the stadiums, Chris. We've done Vitality, we've done Selhurst Park, now the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I mean, it's I guess when you look back one day to be able to fight in such incredible arenas, must is it quite, do you feel quite proud to be able to fight on these big stages? And how excited are you to step out at the, 60 odd thousand Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Yeah, obviously for me the biggest stadium yet by some way. Not headlining this time, so slightly different. But yeah, it's exciting. You know, it's as a kid, I just wanted to play football in the Premier League, but like I've said many times, obviously not good enough for my feet, so I have to use my hands instead to tick off all the stadiums. And having done, Bournemouth whilst they're in the Premier League, Crystal Palace, another Premier League stadium, and now Tottenham. That's a real honour for me, and something that's not lost on me either. I'm really proud and grateful for these opportunities because, like I said, as a kid, it was a dream to even visit these stadiums. So to be out actually, um, you know, perform my craft in them is a real honour.
Mm. And do you think that you'll bring a decent amount of followers up as you always do to to Spurs? I'm sure a lot of people would have been, that weren't able to get out to Saudi Arabia would have been a bit disappointed at that. So do you think that, that the plenty of coaches and trucks and cars will be coming up from Bournemouth to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to cheer you on?
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, I'm not sure on the ticket situation. I can't imagine they're going to give us a handful of tickets to the size of the show and the
Mm.
magnitude of it. With it being such a big show, I think it'll probably sell out anyway. So um, I'm hoping that everyone can grab their tickets online and come along. It would be amazing to have some fans there and get some support and have another memorable night for Bournemouth in that stadium. We've had one a few years ago where Dango scored the winner in the 3-2 win when I was there. And we've had some good times. So that's the plan for me. And yeah, hopefully there's plenty there to support.
Yeah, and just tell me what you think of the main event as well. Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn. A very controversial fight, but a fight that I'm sure, it gets people watching no matter what, right?
Yeah, that's it. And people are watching the fight, and it was a huge fight first time round. I remember Ellie Scotty was meant to be on the undercard. I was there on fight week and was there when it all got cancelled and the show got pulled off. I was at the fighter hotel on the day of the press conference, so it was crazy. Really weird thing, something I've never experienced before or since, and not sure I will. But I don't know if that adds to the fight or not. But there's more probably more talk about it. There's plenty in the works where sorry sort of since that's happened and since the all the drama of the first fight, but or the first not the first fight because it never happened, but the first time they were supposed to fight. But yeah, it's a big fight, and for me, there's weight divisions for a reason. Chris Eubanks, sort of been a career-long middleweight and gone up to super middle, and Connor's been a career welterweight. So it's it's an interesting fight, but when the names are Eubank and Ben, I'm sure there's going to be fireworks.
And also another cruiserweight fight on the card. You've got Chev Clark against Vidal Riley. I guess not not two guys you'd really got your eye on at all because they're not really on the same kind of trajectory as yourself. But is that, another fight that I mean, it's a decent matchup for Vidal, right? Because the Isaac Chamberlain fight got cancelled, so another, all British one. The two of them will go at it on a decent card in London. It's another decent fight, right?
Yeah, I saw Vidal the other night actually. It was an event I was at, and we were chatting about it. And he could have boxed still on that card against the Chamberlain when he was meant to have Chamberlain, but they already had this one lined up, so he decided to leave it out. He's a Tottenham fan as well, Vidal, so he's buzzing, and Chev's an Arsenal fan, so it's he's very motivated in that sense as well from a football perspective. But yes, it's an interesting fight. It's a crossroads fight. Chev's obviously got a defeat last time out, but it doesn't mean anything. That guy was kind of an unknown, but a big puncher. And yeah, it's and Vidal's not um, he's won. He's won convincingly against sort of Luau in his last fight, but he hasn't had that statement win yet, really, where he's boxed a name and done a better job on them than someone else or anything like that in terms of the them being a big name. So it's a real interesting fight, and it's a big opportunity, I think, for Vidal to get that statement win. But also it's an opportunity for Chev to beat a big name in Vidal and get back on track to his path because Chev's been matched really hard during his career. And he's come through all of them but one, and he's definitely got the better resume of the two. But you see how much the loss affects him, and that it can affect you, and especially the way he lost, I think is will matter. But a really interesting fight and a real crossroads.
Mm. Um, Chris, just a couple more. I did want to ask you because this particular guy has been very public about how he's gone about his things, but Jack Massey's called you out online a number of times. We've seen his recent tweet after the fight announcement, a little bit, I guess, as to wondering why the two of you aren't able to get it on. I guess my question to you is, do you see yourself fighting Jack Massey at any point, or is there kind of, aspirations beyond the realms of someone at Jack's level at the moment?
Yeah, I can see us fighting if he gets some big wins. His best win is Isaac Chamberlain in a close fight, and that was when I was making my second defense of my world title. So since then, I've had a unification fight, um, and he's lost convincingly to a world champion. So look, I understand why Jack's calling me out. I'm the biggest name in the country for him. I understand that, and that's not me being big-headed. I've obviously proven my worth. And I kind of understand that. The way he goes about it, though, is different. I heard he was calling me out at a boxer show the other week when I was at Caroline's fight. I found out after I'd said hello to him, and he was very friendly, that he'd been calling me out and saying this, that, and the other. So, and then the other day he put something up about the fight and tagged me in it on Instagram, and I just found it funny because I mean the guy unboxing is a much more dangerous fight than Jack Massey.
Hmm.
Much more dangerous, much higher level. So if he can't understand the reasons, then he's never going to understand. You sometimes need to take a step back and not just think of it from your own emotional point of view, I think. And it's hard to do in this game when he's got a young family and he wants to provide for them and he wants big fights, he wants big opportunities. I understand that, and I am that for him. But I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm not in his business. I have to look after myself and my own family, and that for me is taking bigger fights, um, harder fights, which are going to get me, back on where I need to be. So also beating beating Jack Massey it's not gonna do anything for me. Um, so yeah, it is what it is. I understand his maybe his frustration and his want to fight me. But if he was in my shoes, it would be very different. Um, and yeah, and that's all I can say on it really.
Sure, no problem. I mean, I guess as well, looking at the WBC rankings, you said to all of us that the WBC world title is something you'd love to capture. You said it yourself there earlier that fighting Badu Jack would be, excuse me, something you aspire to do. And to do that and get yourself into that position, you'd have to climb up the rankings, put yourself in a more favorable position. You're in fourth in the WBC cruiserweight rankings at the moment, and Glanton's in fifth. So in terms of the ranks, it's a decent matchup. Jack Massey isn't in the top 10 too. So, I mean, just tell us a little bit about your aspirations to claim the WBC title. Is the message you want to become two-time cruiserweight world champion?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm still. If I didn't want to be, if that wasn't the aspirations, I would have retired. Simple as that. And I've still got, I've still got plenty left. Just a hard fight and a one loss isn't gonna end my career. So I've got to get back to winning ways. And this is a level just below world level, but he's a very, very hard fight for me. His style is hard fight for anyone. Like you said, he's number fifth in the rankings. I think Brady Jack's fighting the number one contender. Number two and three are fighting each other, and now number four and five are fighting each other as well. So it's a perfect opportunity for me to make a statement, get back into a position where I can become world champion again. And you never know, there might be opportunities elsewhere that come up, whether that's the IBF, the WBO, or WBA, obviously with Ramirez holding both of those. But yeah, I want to become world champion again, and I need to do that again before my career's up.
Mm. It's actually 3 months to the day until you'll be fighting. What do the next kind of months and weeks look like for you as you get ready for this fight? I'm sure you'll be back up in London. Are you going to be back in with Lee Cutler, back in the flat, and back to work?
Yeah, I'm here now. I'm in London now. So yeah, me and Lee came back down last night after Ellie's fight to from Nottingham. We're here. We're back working. Lee should hopefully have some news soon as well. And yeah, so next 3 months look like a lot of pain, a lot of pain, but pain and suffering that I'm really excited for. I don't know what it is, but I've really found a new lease of motivation and lease of life this year, and I'm really really enjoying it. And it's just about staying consistent now on the training and putting in the graft and getting uncomfortable and yeah, putting myself in that sort of in that hurt locker and just constantly striving for improvement.
And just finally, Chris, how does this fight go, and what's your message to your fans and what to expect in 2025 from the gentleman?
To expect from the year is going to be another world title. That's the aim and the that's the plan. This fight will be a more refined version of me, and I think it will be exciting to see the stuff I'm adding to my game. I've already started doing it sort of this year, and I'm really feeling comfortable in kind of the stuff we're working on and the kind of new sort of nuances that I'm adding to it. Um, and yeah, April 26th is another stadium. And we know how stadium fights go for me, and it'll be exactly the same on April 26th.
Perfect.